Nellie Reed. Welcome to our fourth and final installment of How to Be Calves. All right, we've been working on this all week. Calves. The C stands for choose kindness. So important. The A, accept responsibility for your choices. If you do something great, you might get a good job. You might get a wink. You might get a finger wave. If you make a poor decision, you might have a timeout or have to talk to a staff member. Those things happen, but we need to accept responsibility. Value safety, this is so important. I heard about some friends that were having trouble on the playground today, right after we had this conversation. You need to be safe, keeping your hands, feet, and body to yourselves. The S in calves stands for show respect, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. And there's a song, just a little bit. In order to show respect, there are lots of ways to do this, but the number one thing is you're doing all three things that we talked about. You're being kind, you're being responsible, and you're being safe. All of those things are showing respect. And in the classroom, respect, to me, the biggest thing looks like you are listening. You're listening to your teacher, you're listening to your friends, you're listening to any person who's talking to you, a classmate. It is so important to listen. Today I have a story called My Mouth is a Volcano. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It's a long book, but we have it at Nellie Reed if you'd like to look at it a little more, or maybe your teacher wants to read it. In the story, there's a boy, and his name is Lewis. And I have to tell you, Lewis thinks everything he has to say is more important than anyone else or anything else. So his mouth is like a volcano. Every time it opens it up, instead of lava coming out like a volcano, his words come out. And in this story, it is very frustrating to a lot of people. In class, when his friends are trying to listen, he's yelling things. I know that's not a good thing. When he is at the carpet listening to a story, guess what happens? Lewis has something to say and he just blurts it out. That is not showing respect to your friends or your teacher. Guess what happens too? At home, his family is trying to eat dinner, and look, Lewis screams. His ideas are more important. But we know that's not true. It is so important to listen to those around you. So, near the end of the story, Lewis is kind of starting to realize that he needs to be a great listener, and I'm going to read a little bit of this part of the story to you. The next day of school was my very important day. I had been waiting for about 126 weeks to be the star student of my class. This was my special moment. I got to share a poster with my class that had pictures of my favorite things. I stood up in front of my class and began to tell them about the time I went fishing. I don't know if you're thinking in your head what I'm thinking. I'm thinking someone might be interrupting him like a volcano. Halfway through my story, Richard started to tell everyone about the time he went deep sea fishing in Mexico. His story must have been better than mine because everyone started to look at him. He was stealing my words, my moment. I know how it feels when somebody interrupts. Richard, said my teacher, you just interrupted Lewis. Please wait until he is finished talking, and then he might call on you. I couldn't believe how rude that was of Richard. He interrupted me. That really made me angry. When you are interrupting people, it is disrespectful. One way, and probably the biggest way to show respect at Nellie Reed, is to be a good listener. Guess what happened? Lewis went to tell another story about a broken bone, and guess what? Another friend erupted him like a volcano. Look how frustrated he became. When you are not a good listener, it is frustrating. But guess what? He went home and talked to his mom about it. When I got home, I told my mom about rude Richard and rude Courtney. Now you know how we feel when you interrupt us, said my mom. Oh, I never thought about that, said Lewis. I just get so excited with my words, they just pop into my head, and then they slide down my tongue, and my tummy starts to rumble, and then it starts to grumble. My words begin to wiggle, and then they start to jiggle. Then my tongue pushes all my important words up against my teeth, and I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. Maybe Richard and Courtney have volcanoes in their mouths, too, my mom replied. Oh, I never thought about that. Well, son, the next time your important words are pushed into your teeth by your tongue, you need to bite down hard and don't let them out. Then take a deep breath and push your words out through your nose. Then, when it is your turn to talk, take a deep breath and breathe them back into your mouth. Will that work? I asked. Only if you make it work, said my mom. So it's so important. When you are showing respect, you are being a good listener. To be calves, and we are going to start our calves of the week. We choose kindness with our words and actions. We accept responsibilities for those choices, good and bad. We value safety with our hands, feet, and body. And most importantly, we show respect to those around us. And the best way to do that is to be a good listener. Hi, Keen. How do you show respect at school?
I show respect at school when I don't interrupt and I raise my hand.
Can you show your picture?
This is good, this is bad.
What's bad about this?
Because you're interrupting.
Oh, man. What's good about this?
You're raising your hand.